Okay, good luck. Bye.
Mary was living here and suffering from late-stage cancer. She wasn't up for any more visitors that day. As Mary's health was failing, the new acting chief of Seaside Police was determined to solve the case once and for all. Judy Veloz chipped away at the idea that Mary Day was murdered. For starters, additional tests showed Mary's DNA matched not only Charlotte, but also the birth father. And then there was that little girl's shoe.
I put it in the palm of my hand, and I mean, it fit in the palm of my hand. It was very small. I had a hard time believing that a 13-year-old would have to be, I mean, I saw her stature in the picture. She wasn't that short.
Veloz also traveled to Mary's home. She says Mary herself filled in the gaps.
She wanted to convince us she was Mary, and it seemed sincere.
Mary said she began calling herself Monica when she ran away because she didn't want police to take her back home. Mary also mentioned a new name, Maury, a woman she knew in those early days on her own in California. Veloz tracked down Maury Kimmel.
I got her when she was 15. Very naive and innocence about her, almost like childlike.
At the time, Maury had 2 young daughters of her own.
She just won my heart, and my girls loved her.
You know that may have been the only and the best family life she ever had in her entire life.
I'm realizing that now, you know. I wanted to nurture her, you know.
But after about a year, one day, Mary was gone.
I was heartbroken.
Veloz discovered that Mary had moved around a lot, city to city, living on the margins.
Honestly, when I talked to her, she just seemed like a survivor.
She also solved the mystery of why Mary suddenly got that Arizona ID. She needed state aid to pay for surgery.
She had her gallbladder taken out that led her to obtain her proper driver's license, or ID, in the name of Mary Louise Day.
A local nonprofit had helped Mary track down her real birth certificate. Veloz chalks up Mary's foggy memory to trauma and a lifelong battle with alcohol.
Those gaps in memory, to me, can be legitimate, especially if someone's been an alcoholic from the time they've been a teenager.
As for that email Mary sent to Detective Bertina saying she'd been lying about who she was, Veloz says Mary sent a follow-up email, writing, quote, "I'm not sure myself what I was trying to say in that email."
Again, from someone who is still a severe alcoholic and using.
And then Veloz came up with the smoking gun. One of Maury's relatives had a photograph.
The picture really did it.
It's Mary, she says, and it was taken at least a year after the alleged murder. We took the photo to TrueFace,
See it? I see this.
a state-of-the-art facial recognition company. CEO Sean Moore.
So we're going to look at the results of our face matching algorithms on the images that you all sent us.
Okay. And it's trying to see what?
It's trying to see the probability that we're matching a young picture with one of the older pictures. So
If this is the same person.
Correct. It's a probability that it's the same person.
The top photo is Mary before she disappeared. The other photo is the one that Judy Veloz dug up.
What are the numbers telling
And
you?
the numbers are telling us that it's the same person.
He says that's a 99% probability. With that photo, Judy Veloz submitted her report and closed the Mary Day investigation, this time for good. After all these years, the woman at the center of this case finally agreed to meet with me. This is the Mary that I met. Fragile, but not feeble. It was clear from seeing her in person that this was a woman who had not had an easy life. Still, she didn't seem to be trying to hide anything. In fact, she said, it's very frustrating trying to prove who you are when there is no proof. Sherry is finally at peace.
Was all of a sudden it felt like I had a weight lifted off of my shoulders. It was just like, it's done. This is her. And that's pretty much the end of that story.
It's not that simple for Mark Clark.
I've seen the report. I'd be lying if it didn't make me second guess my investigation.
Even though he can't prove his theory, he can't quite shake his old hunch that Mary is an impostor.
Do you believe that William Hoole murdered Mary Louise Day?
Based on the evidence I've found, yes.
As for Steve Sircone,
I will admit that once I read Judy's report and I saw that picture, I definitely leaned towards the identity of Mary as being Mary Louise Day, the little girl that we were looking for.
still, he says he is certain of one thing. Those cadaver dogs were on to something.
They were positive.
Positive.
They said, you know, our dogs don't lie. They don't lie. But who was buried in those grave sites?
Mary Day died 9 days after Judy Velaz interviewed her. There was no funeral. Do you believe that the woman claiming to be Mary Day